Hello, everyone. For decades, André Rieu captivated millions with the elegance of waltz, the sparkle of violins under golden stage lights, and the unforgettable charm that made him the world's most beloved classical performer. But behind the sweeping romantic concerts, the million-selling albums, and the global reputation as the Waltz King, Rieu was quietly living a double life that almost no one outside his inner circle truly understood, a life of pressure, debt, exhaustion, sacrifice, and silent suffering that he kept hidden for nearly 30 years, all while presenting a flawless smile to the world. Because to the public, Rieu looked like the picture of success, leading the Johann Strauss Orchestra across continents, selling out arenas normally reserved for rock stars, and creating a musical empire built on beauty and joy. Yet behind the curtain, he fought battles few entertainers, let alone classical musicians, would ever survive, beginning with the enormous financial weight of running an orchestra that he insisted must remain like a family, a philosophy that kept him covering the salaries of dozens of musicians, paying enormous production costs, and risking millions of euros per tour, even when the economic reality made this nearly impossible. And while audiences saw fairy tale concerts filled with romance and spectacle, Rieu spent years drowning in debt so severe that at one point he nearly lost everything: his home, his company, and even the orchestra he spent his life building, because every performance that dazzled the world came with financial stakes so high that one canceled show, one logistical disaster, or one miscalculated production could destroy his entire career overnight. And as the years passed, he carried the psychological weight of feeling responsible not just for his own family, but for the livelihoods of dozens of people who depended completely on him. A burden that slowly turned into a hidden storm of stress, panic, and sleepless nights that the public never imagined. And while his fans believed he lived a life of glamour, moving between castles, concert halls, and champagne receptions, Rieu privately struggled with the cost of perfection, obsessing over every detail of his productions, pushing himself beyond physical exhaustion, and sinking into periods of anxiety so intense that he eventually collapsed under the pressure, forcing him to admit that the joyful persona he maintained on stage did not always match the turmoil he felt behind closed doors. And perhaps the most heartbreaking part of this double life was the toll it took on his health and relationships, because while he charmed audiences night after night, he hid his fears from his family, rarely speaking about the anxiety attacks that plagued him or the overwhelming loneliness of spending months on the road, sleeping in hotel rooms while longing for normalcy, stability, and the simple comforts he sacrificed to keep his orchestra alive. And even as his fame grew, Rieu's desperation to maintain his empire led him to make massive financial gambles, like the ambitious but catastrophic castle project in 2010 that nearly bankrupted him, an ordeal that left him with tens of millions in losses, forcing him to tour relentlessly to survive, while fans believed he was simply enjoying another successful season. And as the world applauded his elegance, few knew that he sometimes performed while battling vertigo, pain, and extreme fatigue, refusing to cancel shows because he couldn't afford the financial or emotional consequences, living with the constant fear that the empire he built could collapse at any moment, fear he carried silently for years. And through all of this, the public saw the smiling conductor, the graceful entertainer with the flowing hair and glittering tuxedos, unaware that behind the scenes he was battling burnout, exhaustion, panic attacks, overwhelming pressure, and the crushing weight of being the sole pillar of an international musical empire, a man torn between the dream he created and the cost of sustaining it. And when the truth finally emerged, that Rieu had been living with this hidden life of anxiety, overwork, and near financial ruin for almost 3 decades, Fans were stunned, realizing that the man who brought so much joy into the world had been silently sacrificing himself for years to keep that joy alive, making his story not one of scandal, but of resilience, vulnerability, and the heartbreaking reality of a man who carried a world of beauty on his shoulders while hiding the pain that came with it. A reminder that even the brightest performers can be fighting battles the audience never sees. And that Andre Rieu's real legacy is not just the music, but the unimaginable strength it took to keep smiling through the storms he faced alone. Thanks for watching.